A significant investment in juvenile sports facilities in Des Moines was recently announced by the Caitlin Clark Foundation. Through this collaboration with Musco Lighting, for cutting-edge multi-sport courts will be built in middle schools across the city. While some players applaud this community investment, others are quietly terrified about what this implies for the league's future. Today, we'll look at why some WNBA stars feel frightened by this seemingly beneficial development. Business Wire made the news on March 18, 2025. 4 Musco small pitch systems will be funded by the Caitlin Clark Foundation and Musco Lighting at the Hyatt Kalanimakams and Weeks Middle Schools in Des Moines. They're not your typical basketball courts. Their extensive sports facilities are made for futsal, basketball, and soccer. Every facility has integrated fencing, lighting, seats, bespoke surfacing, ADA-accessible gates, and built-in goals and hoops. This is more than just a publicity stunt. It's a substantial investment in youth sports infrastructure. Providing courts for local youth helps them find opportunities to play and connect with others, said Mary Coffin, president of the Caitlin Clark Foundation. These courts offer sporting events that foster relationships, encourage collaboration, and enhance communication. The Foundation's goal of improving youth via education, nutrition, and sports, the 3 pillars, is perfectly aligned with this effort. Clark gives herself credit for her accomplishments. However, what this signifies about Clark's increasing prominence and the changing power dynamics in women's basketball is what is making some WNBA players so upset. Caitlin Clark has been the center of attention ever since she joined the WNBA. Her historic collegiate career at Iowa resulted in an unprecedented increase in the Indiana Fever's TV ratings, which caused the arena to fill up and products to fly off the shelves. Clark helped bring in millions of dollars more for a league that had been struggling financially in just her first season. What we are currently seeing is Clark using her fame to create something much more significant, a legacy that endures beyond her. Playing profession and several seasoned WNBA players are concerned about exactly that. The WNBA has a distinct social and political identity for many years. Many athletes position themselves as advocates for change in sports by focusing their personal brands on social justice and activism issues. Although this strategy struck a chord with a devoted core audience, it was unable to draw in the general public that men's sports do. Clark is an example of an alternative strategy. She has always supported worthy organizations, but her main priorities have been community development and basketball greatness. Her foundation's funding of these courts exemplifies a practical, goal-oriented strategy for changing things. Think about the timing. Only a few weeks before the 2025 WNBA season starts, this announcement was made. After earning Rookie of the Year, Clark is starting her sophomore season with even higher expectations. Instead of concentrating only on personal recognition, she is also constructing a community infrastructure that will help thousands of youth. The press announcement claims that each small pitch can reach 10,000 children on average, spread over 4 venues. Because of this program, 40,000 young people could have access to first-rate sporting facilities. This is a calculated community investment with quantifiable results, not just charity. Dr. Ian Roberts, the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, recognized the importance of this collaboration. A key component of our strategic plan to reinvent education in Des Moines is giving every student at DMPS more access to extracurricular activities and sports, as well as the first-rate facilities they are entitled to. The way that this endeavor crosses conventional divides is also notable. In order to capture young people at a crucial developmental time when constructive activities and role models have the most impact, the courts will support several sports, including basketball, soccer, and futsal, creating areas where kids with different interests may come together. They are being placed in middle schools. This strategy contrasts sharply with the fragmentation that occasionally occurs in professional sports, where players frequently limit their efforts to promoting their own sport or personal brand. Clark is thinking more broadly and concentrating on thorough youth development via a variety of sports possibilities. Concerns regarding the implications of this for their own authority inside the league have been privately voiced by a few WNBA veterans. For many years, a particular set of athletes controlled sponsorship possibilities and media attention. Clark's expanding foundation and business empire are already changing the perception of what a WNBA star is capable of. The collaboration with Musco Lighting is especially significant. Headquartered in Iowa since 1976, Musco has led the world in sports lighting and facility solutions, completing projects in over 125 nations. By the 2026 FIFA World Cup, they hope to have 1,000 micro pitches in the U.S., having already erected over 375 in the U.S. in partnership with the U.S. Soccer Foundation. The cooperation is significant because it is based on shared ideals to enhance access to recreation and safer and more pleasurable playing experiences, according to Jeff Rogers, CEO of Musco. This is a strategic partnership between companies with complementary skills and missions, not just a celebrity endorsing a project. Some WNBA players are realizing they need to improve their own off-court endeavors because of this level of business acumen and community involvement. Social media posts about causes might no longer be sufficient to stay relevant in a league that is becoming more and more characterized by significant community investment. To find out why some league veterans are so alarmed by this most recent attempt, let's examine Clark's charitable background. She honored her birthday in January by collaborating with Scholastic to provide 22,000 children's books to underprivileged areas. She gave $22,000 to 4 local charities at the University of Iowa after her jersey was retired: Boys and Girls Club of the Corridor, Special Olympics Iowa, and the University of Iowa Children's Hospital Coralville Community Food Pantry. Clark clarified why she was dedicated to these causes. The sense of community and mutual support in Iowa City is one of my favorite aspects of the city. I experienced this when I was here, and I find it crucial to maintain relationships with this steady investment in local communities starts a positive feedback loop. The more Clark contributes, the more well-liked she gets. She can allocate more funds to worthwhile charities as her popularity grows. Additionally, the more she influences others, the more she pushes other athletes to follow suit. Clark's all-encompassing approach to athletic success and community development is outperforming some WNBA players who base their brands only on their on-court performance or social media presence. Beyond the usual charity endeavors of athletes, the Foundation's work exhibits a degree of organizational capacity and strategic thinking. These facilities' multi-sport capabilities are especially noteworthy. By endorsing basketball, soccer, and futsal, Clark is establishing herself as a champion for kids' sports in general, as well as a basketball star. This broadens her popularity and impact beyond basketball fans to include community leaders, educators, and parents who are generally interested in youth development. This broad strategy poses a problem for WNBA players who have historically played in smaller lanes. How do they stay relevant in a world when the new impact requirement goes well beyond the courtroom? Privately, several veterans are admitting that their strategy needs to change. The days when an athlete's worth was solely based on their social media following are vanishing. Measurable impact and significant community investment are emerging as the new currency of influence. For some WNBA players, this is especially difficult because Clark's strategy doesn't cleanly fit into the league's established narrative. Instead of following the playbook, she's developing her own by fusing commercial savvy, strategic altruism, and physical prowess. Clark's concept is physically realized in the courts themselves. These facilities will benefit communities for years, unlike a social media post that vanishes from feeds in a matter of hours. These courts will have a multi-generational impact that few players accomplish, benefiting kids who weren't even born when Clark joined the league. What sets Clark's strategy apart from more transient types of advocacy or philanthropy is its long-term perspective. She is establishing tangible means to cement her legacy by creating infrastructure that will endure beyond news cycles and social media fads. The working together with well-known institutions like Des Moines Public Schools and Musco Lighting highlights the importance of partnerships. By utilizing resources and experience outside of her own, Clark is increasing her influence and exhibiting an awareness that significant change occurs through teamwork rather than solo endeavors. This collaborative strategy offers both a challenge and an opportunity for WNBA players who have traditionally functioned more as individual brands. Those that are open to change may discover comparable alliances that increase their own influence. In a league where significant community investment is increasingly expected rather than the exception, those who oppose at risk becoming more and more ostracized. It's also a calculated move to make this announcement right before the start of the new season. It guarantees that Clark's potential on the court as well as her effect off the court will be discussed. She is more enticing to advertisers, fans, and the media because of this thorough story. Some veterans worry that it will be more difficult for them to compete for resources and attention as a result of this larger narrative. In this changing environment, a player who excels on the court but has little influence on the community would have fewer options. It's especially intriguing how Clark has been able to establish this foundation while maintaining a laser-like focus on her game. She isn't deciding between being a great athlete and having an impact on the community. She is aiming for both at the same time, pushing the standard for what makes a full-fledged professional athlete. There has been a mixed response inside WNBA circles. In private, other athletes have praised Clark's strategy and are seeking to create programs of a similar nature. Others are opposing the new paradigm because they feel intimidated by the shifting expectations. However, the majority of league executives back Clark's initiatives. Anything that strengthens the WNBA's ties to local communities has the potential to attract additional supporters and fans. Children who might not otherwise have access to or exposure to women's basketball are introduced to the sport through Clark's foundation work, which essentially serves as grassroots marketing for the sport. The business case is unambiguous. By constructing these multi-sport venues, Clark is effectively laying the groundwork for future athletes, supporters, and supporters. Some of the kids who use these courts will grow to love basketball and become WNBA supporters. Others might take up the sport themselves, with the possibility of becoming the players of the future. This long-term approach to game development shows maturity that belies Clark's youth. While some veterans prioritize salary increases for immediate benefits, endorsement agreements and media attention, Clark is also laying the groundwork for women's basketball as a whole. Because of this progressive approach, some WNBA players are reevaluating their own legacies. When their playing days are done, what will be left of their influence? Have they created anything that will endure beyond their careers? Players who once felt comfortable in their roles within the league hierarchy are now re-evaluating themselves in response to these awkward inquiries. This initiative's geographic focus is also important. Clark is enhancing her ties to the community that helped her rise by making investments in her home state of Iowa. Fans that value athletes returning to their roots rather than just pursuing possibilities in bigger markets will find resonance in this regional allegiance. By making a significant influence in particular regions, this local investment model presents a possible route ahead for WNBA players who have largely established their identities in larger cities. They could build stronger bonds with supporters than broad national campaigns can. Additionally, the educational component should not be disregarded. These courts are situated at middle schools. Clark's clear link between education and athletics supports the all-encompassing approach to youth development taken by her charity. Her popularity is expanded beyond sports fans to include those who are primarily concerned with educational success thanks to this positioning, which is in line with the ideals of parents and educators. After strictly concentrating on athletic empowerment, some WNBA veterans are now thinking about how they could include educational components in their own programs. This development is a possible benefit of the strain from competition. The league standards have increased as a result of Clark's strategy. It is evident that Clark's foundation work goes beyond simple charity. It's a thorough approach to community influence, legacy creation, and brand building. The consideration that goes into these initiatives points to a player who is aware that her impact goes well beyond the 40 minutes she spends playing. Clark is a fresh example of athlete entrepreneurship for a league that has long grappled with commercial principles. She isn't merely waiting for opportunities to present themselves through the league. She is actively expanding the women's basketball market while also establishing her own platform. Some established players are uncomfortable with this entrepreneurial approach. They grew up during a time when the WNBA's success criteria were more stringent and centered mostly on on-court performance and public advocacy. Clark's all-encompassing strategy calls for a more diverse skill set that blends business savvy with athletic prowess. Cooperative leadership and strategic philanthropy. How other WNBA players will react to this new paradigm is the current question. Will they welcome the chance to modify their own strategies, or will they oppose the shifting expectations? Which players prosper in this new period and which become more marginalized will probably depend on the response. Clark's ascent offers the league itself both a chance and a challenge. The opportunity is obvious. Use her notoriety and creative style to increase the WNBA's reach and influence. Managing the change as the league's power dynamics change is the difficult part. Unquestionably, Clark's foundation effort sets a new benchmark for athlete impact. She is proving what is possible when athletic achievement is combined with smart charity by developing concrete community resources with quantifiable results. The whole women's basketball scene is changing as Caitlin Clark continues to leave her mark on and off the court. Her aim for community impact is just getting started with these 4 new multi-sport courts. For more in-depth coverage of women's sports, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you thought this analysis was interesting, please share your opinions in the comments section below on how athletes should strike a balance between community service and on-court success. We appreciate your time and hope to see you at our next